Hi everyone, it's Susie from the Smoky Lake Public Library. Welcome back to Afterschool Adventures. So I always wanted a pet mouse when I was growing up. I had a friend in school who had some and I thought they were really neat, but my mom was afraid of mice, so I could never have some. So I thought we could make our own pet mice today. So let's get started with that and fulfill my dream. So to make our mice, you'll need some paper, you'll need a couple of pipe cleaners, a couple of pom-poms, some markers, and you'll need some scissors and some glue. So the first step is to take your paper and fold it in half. So you can use whatever size paper you want. It'll just depend on what size you want your mice, right? So I folded my paper in half, and now what you need to do is take the open end. So there's the fold side and then there's the open side. So take the open side and cut out a half circle. If you want to trace something, you can. I think I will do that just because I like things to be more exact. But you can just eyeball it too. Okay, so now you should have two half circles. So these are going to be your mice bodies. So what you need to do is you can get your glue ready, and then you can kind of fold your circle in half again, and then make a little point with your fingers just on the very top. Push it down. And that is going to mark the center. So then what you need to do is you need to kind of roll the ends in towards each other. So you're kind of bringing them in at that center point. And then what I'm doing here is I'm grabbing the inside and the outside, and I'm rolling it together until they kind of line up and almost look like a party hat or just like a nice cone shape. So like that. And then if you want, you can kind of mark with a pencil lightly where it lands, and then glue that whole section, or you can just kind of eyeball it and take a guess. It should stick pretty nicely, so you shouldn't need to be that precise with your gluing, right? So there, I've got some glue. So now I will just roll that back up again. And then this is going to be our mouse body. So I went ahead and did that on the second one as well. So these are our two little mouse bodies. And now we got to build up the rest of them, right? So next step, we're going to take some of our leftover paper and we're going to make them some nice big ears. So mice have pretty big and big round ears, right? So that's what we're going for here. So go ahead and cut out some ear shapes. They don't have to be round. They can be whatever kind of shape you like. But go ahead and cut those out of some of your scrap paper, but making sure to leave a little bit on the bottom. So this is going to be where we glue our ear. So this is how it's looking now. But if I fold back this little tab, my ear will be able to stand up, and that's how it will look, right? So leave a little tab for gluing. So go ahead and make 4 ears. All right, so I made 4 little ears. So now it's time to stick those on our mouse. So go ahead and paint or glue, put some glue on the tab like we said. And then just kind of find the spot where your mouse body wants to rest for the top. So it looks like this one likes to sit like that. So I will put an ear there, an ear here. So there. There's our little mouse ears, pretty cute. So go ahead and do that on both of your mice. All right, so once you have the ears glued on, next is the eyes. So if you have googly eyes, they would be really, really cute on this. I do not. So I'm just going to draw them right on top of the body. So where we're going to place the eyes is kind of just below the ears. So go ahead and just see where you placed your ears and track down and inwards a little bit. Or you can put them wherever you want. There's one set of eyes and the other. All right, so the mice have eyes, and now we gotta build up the rest of their faces. So what else do they have? They've got nice long whiskers. So here's where our pipe cleaners come in. So go ahead and take a pipe cleaner and cut it in half if you can. Sometimes it can be a little tricky. You might have to get a parent to help. So once it's cut in half, you can kind of take a look at the size of your mice and decide. I think I'm going to cut mine in half one more time. Or if you want some extra big whiskers, you can just leave it like that. But once you have the right length, what you want to do is actually we're going to cut this length in half. So what you're going to do is you're going to twist these two pipe cleaners together right on the center. And then this center part is going to rest on their nose. And then we'll have the two halves going each way, right? So go ahead and make two sets of whiskers. So now we have some whiskers, and next step is the pom-poms. It's going to go right on the end of the nose, and then it will be the nose. So from before I was using a glue stick, right, to put this on. But now I'm going to use some white glue just because it's going to be a little more tricky to stick these things on. But what you can do is stick a little bit of glue on your pom-pom and stick a little bit of glue on your pipe cleaners right in the center. That was maybe a little bit too much, but that'll work. So there, I've got glue on each, and then just stick them both on at the same time. So nose is kind of gonna go on top. Instead of just like this, I'm gonna push it onto the top a little bit. And then you can even flatten your mouse's nose if you think that'll help. And then the pipe cleaners are actually going to go on the bottom. And then your paper is going to be kind of sandwiched in between. So go ahead and let that dry, and I'll do my next one. All right, and there are my two mice. They're really cute, right? I like them a lot. But now we kind of got to make them feel a bit at home. Alright, so I got my mice in a nice little shoebox lid. I think they'll like it there. But now we need to make sure they have something to eat, right? So mice like to eat kind of like scrap type stuff, right? So we're going to be giving them some fruit because that's some of the best scraps, I think. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to make an apple for them. So what you need is 3 popsicle sticks. You'll need a black marker, some scissors. You'll need some red paper and cardboard. Or if you just have some like thicker red paper, then you don't need the cardboard. But then you'll need some green paper, a little bit of brown paper or white paper that you just colored brown, and some glue. I don't know if I said that already. But let's get started. So the way this is going to work is this is going to be our apple core. And then we'll have a top of the apple and a bottom of an apple. So go ahead and just line up your core on your red sheet of paper. And just take a look at it and imagine that you are putting some red paper over top. And trace what you think the bottom of your apple should look like, how big it should be, and stuff like that. And also the top of your apple. So go ahead and do that and then cut that out. Alright, so there's my top and my bottom. So you can kind of make sure they match. I'm going to maybe trim down my bottom a little bit, just so it matches the size of my top a little bit better. There, like that. So now if you're using just plain construction paper like me, go ahead and glue these onto your cardboard, and then we're going to cut it out again, but with our big cardboard backing. So take your white glue and stick these onto your cardboard. And then if you already have some red thick paper, then you don't even have to worry about this part, right? Because your paper is stiff enough to kind of stand up on its own. Alright, so I've got mine glued on here, so I'm going to let that dry for a few minutes. But in the meantime, I'm going to make up a little leaf and stem. So we'll use our brown and our green paper, right? So first we can start with the stem. So you can make it however you like, just a little tiny stick that will pop out of the top of your apple. I'm going to give mine a little curve, but if you just want it straight up and down, you can. So once you got the stem, and then just a little leaf. Got a leaf, I've got a stem, and I think this is probably dry enough, so I'm going to cut this out. Alright, so I've got my apple top and bottom, so go ahead and flip the bottom one over. And what we're going to do is we're going to glue our 3 popsicle sticks right in the center next to each other, just like that. So you can just stick some glue right on your on the bottom of your apple or on the popsicle sticks, whichever you think is easier. Stick some glue there and then just line up the popsicle sticks and glue them on. So you can do however far down as you like. It just depends on how big you want your core. But just remember they're also going to be covered up a bit on the top as well, right? So while that is drying on the bottom half, go ahead and take your top half and we'll glue on our stem and our leaf. So just take a little bit of glue, put it on the front, close to the bottom of your stem. So just there, and then stick that bit behind and coming out of the top. And then do the same with your leaf. So put on the front of the leaf design, but just on the very bottom. And there we go. All right. So now there's that. And now we can put the glue on the back here. We're going to put glue and we're going to attach the rest of our, or the other side of our popsicle sticks. All right, so now we're gonna leave that to dry upside down for a few minutes. So once it's nice and dry, last step is to draw some little apple seeds right in the center on our popsicle sticks. Because if you eat an apple, right, in the inside there's some seeds and it starts to get a little bit icky right in the middle, but the mice will love it. So a seed is kind of like a teardrop shape, so it's like comes to a point and then it rounds out on the bottom. So draw a few of those, or they can just be oval or like a circle, or you can do little heart-shaped seeds. Maybe I'll do one of those. There, like that. So here's an apple core for the mice. And lastly, I think another really great thing for mice are strawberries, because who doesn't like strawberries? I love them. So what we're going to do is we're going to paint these strawberries. So go ahead and pick some rocks outside and wash them up. So you want them to be pretty smooth, nothing too rough, and vaguely strawberry shaped, but it doesn't really matter because once you paint it to look like a strawberry, it's going to end up kind of looking like one. But just grab a few of those and then you'll need some paint. So I'm using what's called acrylic paint, so hopefully you have something like that. So acrylic is just the kind that sticks really good to everything, which means it'll stick really good to your rocks but also to your clothes, so we got to be careful with this. So I've got some red, I've got some green, and then I've got yellow, which we'll only need a little bit of, but that's good to have. And then you'll need some water and probably some towels to wipe up your paintbrushes. And then I have one kind of big one and one kind of tiny one. So if you have a tiny one, that might help. Or you know what a good trick is? Also, you can use a toothpick. But that's it. So what you want to do first thing is just put a nice coat of red on all of your rocks. So even though we're not just going to paint them red, right? They're going to have different colors on there. What we're going to do first is just red, and then after that we'll just paint over top of the red. So go ahead and place your rock down and try paint around all the corners, but don't go too thick because we'll have to wait for this to dry, right? So we don't want to wait too long. So try to do a nice thin layer around the rock. And you're not going to be able to get everywhere, but that's all right. Once it dries, we'll cover the other stuff up. So by the time I was finished painting my last rock, my first rock was actually already dry. So that just shows how fast drying this paint can be, which is nice for this kind of craft. So then I'm going to paint the bottom. You don't have to do all sides if you don't want to, because it is going to take a little bit longer, right? But it is kind of fun to just get it all, right? But go ahead and just paint as much as you want of your rocks red. So once you're done painting the red, go ahead and take one of your strawberries, and I put out a little bit of green. And next we're going to do the little stem part, right? So the stems, if we remember, they all come out right in the middle, and then there's these tiny little leaves. So this is really easy to do because all you have to do is basically paint a line. A lot of times with painting, it's really easy to kind of get the kind of vibe you want, right? The general idea across. It's not a lot of work. So go ahead and draw some little leaves on the top of all of your strawberries. And then the last step will be the tiny little seeds that we see in strawberries. All right, so I've done the stems on all of them. So last step is to take our yellow and do our little seeds. So this is where you would use a toothpick or a super, super tiny paintbrush. So all you need to do is get a little bit of paint on and just a tiny, tiny little line. Just so small. And you need to do like a whole bunch of these, right? So just do them in a random pattern all over your strawberry, and try not to make them too big. Usually you can just wipe the paint off if you're fast enough and you think it's too big, or you can just paint over it. And you'll probably have to do half and then let it dry, and it should dry quite fast, and then do the other half. And there we go, our rock strawberries. All right, here we go. I've got my mice, I've got some food for them. I'm really happy with this. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you guys had fun, and I will be back next week with another video. See you guys then. Bye.